Hello everybody, we're back with Jesse Richard Gregg at his old homestead where his mother grew up and his grandmother, his grandparents. And we just showed you the apple house, which you can see in the background here. See, there's the apple house. We're just there. Now we're up in the above, and this is what's left over from the old sawmill. Can you tell us what this is, Richard?
This would be a 8-cylinder straight in out of a, most likely, a Pontiac or a Buick. 40 models. They weld a piece of pipe onto the flywheel, piece of steel tubing, and pulled a flat belt to run the sawmill.
Okay.
On here. And of course, was hand fed, manually controlled. The engine was, but this was.
And so who operated this? This was your grandfather?
My grandfather, Roosevelt.
Roosevelt, and then your father.
And as a kid, I remember seeing the sawmill operate. We played in the log yard one day, rolling logs down. I'll never forget. And we rolled my cousin over the log and broke his legs.
Oh, brother, that is not
There'd
very
be 25,
funny.
as high as 20, 25 grandkids here the weekend. But it was all cleared field.
Let's look around here and show
and
you.
They,
there in the distance, the old homestead, but there was one before that was a log home, but this one was built. When was this house built? And there's the woodshed.
I don't know what
the
year.
Woodshed down there.
But
the house has been re-roofed and painted since then.
Yes. And in 40 floods hit piled trees in above it, 20 foot high. There was a grove of trees around it. The garden, there was a mill house down here, big grist mill, stood right here. Of course, it's gone. The mill here, the barn was down here. The orchard, there was apple trees and fields all the way to the top of the mountain here were farmed, of course, with Workhorse, his draft horse. And they run cattle. They lived off the land mostly, did odd work and woodwork. Roosevelt was a woodworker and was multi-talented, which he did odd jobs, but mostly I remember going to the top of the hill here and ride the sled up. Our grandkids, we'd ride the sled to the fields with him, and then we'd go back lunch and bring potatoes and crops into the storage places as a kid, and played in all these buildings and growing up.
A lot of fun for a kid. And then the sawmill, so that's a trade that you learned, and you have.
It's been passed.
You have part of.
He passed
the sawmill.
it. My mother grew up here. Well, my father sawed with his father-in-law Roosevelt, and he picked up the trade, and then he passed it down to me, which we still run. I actually have a part or two salvaged from this sawmill that we use in our mills.
Which is operational.
Yes, which is operational now.
Okay.
A few metal parts.
All right, well, we're going to stop the video now. We're going to go up to another part of the homestead, and you can tell us some more about it. Thank you, Richard.